Legislators have to get educated about these things as well.
That's the serious thing that you have to know. When you're going in there and you're talking about, I stay out of areas that I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm going to deal with juvenile justice and I'm talking about prisons, if I'm talking about the court system, if I'm talking anything about that, I spend all my life.
That's a huge issue. Yeah.
It's a huge issue.
It
It's
is.
it's a key issue, okay, for us, and it's for me and everything else.
Yeah.
Disabilities, I always kept low-key because of who I was on the other issues, okay? But disabilities, same thing, goes back,
Yeah.
it goes back all my life. It goes back to family, it goes back to having a child. My oldest that has brain injury himself, a veteran, and in the hospital, and multiple, taking care of disabled people, studying the human services and stuff like that. So the stuff that I deal with, and we deal with, is stuff we know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and so when I'm out there talking to legislatures, I'm not blowing them wind
No.
or anything else like that. ABI, across the board, I've done stuff in social services, from halfway houses to the mental illness type of stuff and everything else. Dominic did the major work on all the research and what that stuff was there. He went in and dug in on all the brain injury stuff, okay. I myself am a ILST, independent living skills trainer, for those who, okay.
I trained him too.
Did you?
And
I used to run the state trainings.
And he's the guy that trained.
That's how, okay, now it makes sense.
Okay.
But he figured that out afterwards.
He was my trainer. When I first met him, I said, gee, I know this guy. Why do I know this guy?
Yeah.
And he was the one who initially trained me.
Yeah.
You know? And of course, we've cared for disabled people. I have a community that cares for
Yeah.
dual diagnosis people and people of, which a lot of people don't know that's my job. That's how I earn money for my
Right,
ministry.
right.
And so it's a long time. So when we're coming up and when we go talking before you folks in the Senate committees and everything else, we know what we're
Yeah.
trying to talk about, and we're trying to do the best for the people we care for. And that's-
And I guess, I mean, we were talking about the experience. I mean, obviously, you have the greatest amount of experience dealing with the social services. How do you find that serves you when you're dealing with in the committees and you're talking about some of these issues as they come up? I know one of them that got vetoed, I think, and I'm not sure of all the details, but it had to do with the way they do their hearings, and
Right.
it left me, I mean, after I read through it, and I felt like a little disappointed over it. I think
Yeah.
there was that, and there was one other major issue that I saw that they were talking about giving more parity or money to some of the drug treatment centers through the insurance. This wasn't, I don't think, so much through Social Service Committee,
Yeah.
but I know the first one certainly was.
Yeah, and I was somewhat disappointed in that particular veto too, because I pay attention during the hearing process and the whole administrative hearings to have a more third-party objective perspective rather than having somebody within the department, arbitrate and mediate and make a decision about some of these cases. That made sense to me. That's why I supported it. And I'm not quite clear. One of the things that goes on, though, is that we rely too much on the public hearing process. You get 3 minutes to go ahead and talk about things. I know you guys, battled through that and kind of tried to ignore a little bit of the time limitations, but you should have had the stage for a longer period of time. So what I guess I suggest is, and I've talked to people, subsequently to this, is that take advantage before the session, and you guys have done an excellent job. Your whole team, your whole family network, the whole ABI, defenders, if you will, have done an excellent job in reaching out to individual legislators on both sides of the aisle. I see you have Senator Kane coming, I think you have, and that because for somebody to come into my office before the session or before a vote or before a hearing and sit down and talk with me, and I'm willing to hear both sides or any side of any issue, and inform me. I want to know. I want to be educated. And sometimes the public hearing process in of itself is not adequate to go ahead and do that. It's just too quick. You get too many. So keep doing the great job you guys are doing.
Well, the key to that and the difficulty is, obviously, you've got to organize the whole state.
Yes.
Just like we did the juvenile justice stuff,
Yeah.
but that went back a long time.
Right.
So this was new, this was fast and new.
Yeah.
So we kind of do the same kind of thing, try to find the families in the area that can go and then start with them and instruct them, look, that representative is yours. You
Yes,
put him in
exactly.
office. You need to go see him.
Yeah.
Okay, and then people say, well, how do I know? I know all my guys
Yes.
and women in my area, and they know who I am, whether they like me or not.
Right.
I said, so you want to be on that, and you need to do that. And that becomes citizenship training,
Exactly.
you know? No
Yeah.
matter what your issue is, you try to tell.
Yeah.
The only real power that our people, poor, marginalized people have, is the power of the vote.
Yes.
And if you go and you see your reps and you push the door in, they'll listen to you.
Yeah.
They'll listen to
And if they don't,
you.
get them out.
Then you got, that's exact, then
Yeah.
you work to get them out.
Exactly.
And that's, of course, I'll do a lot and have over the years, but,
Yeah.
and that's what you have to do. On the other side, though, when you do that, you find the people on the other side of the aisle who know what you've gone through, that are with you in what they're doing,
Yeah.
that you want to support. It doesn't matter party, it doesn't matter anything
no.
else. It matters that they are with you, their feelings are about the same stuff that we're doing, that you're looking towards, they're there to protect and
Yeah.
everything else. And you find that. And even if you don't agree with them on all stuff, you find that.
What's that wonderful quote from JFK? It's not a Republican answer, it's not a Democratic answer, it's the right answer.
It's the right
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that.
We need more of that kind of thinking. We really do, you know?
You know, but in the battle, and I guess maybe I sound like apologetic, I am to some people, but in the battle, the emotions get high and they get heavy, and some people get mud, get hurt, and stuff like that, but, you know.
It becomes very personal,
It is so
you know,
personal,
And I,
you know.
you can
It's
appreciate
tough.
that. It is,
It's
it is,
tough.
it
It's-
is hard. But when you're working on behalf of people that are vulnerable, the people that can't help
Mm-hmm.
themselves, you're going to be compassionate. You're going to be passionate. You're going to be. Again, it gets into a fight about what is exactly right, and you know. But I think people have to understand that they are empowered. If they want to empower themselves to go ahead and make a difference, they can do. You guys have seen that. Your colleagues have seen that. You can make a difference. And I think it's not, first of all, vote, okay? I would suggest that becomes a vote for
If I was up there, I'd be voting for it. Right.
but get involved.
Exactly
If
right.
you don't get involved, you don't vote, you don't participate in our democracy, then don't complain, okay?
Yeah,
I guess that's where I'm coming from.
that's what I say,
Yeah.
and I don't believe you can.
Yeah.
I think you need to be, if you go out there and, you know, I've got people tonight, I know they're on the phones working for our people that are here and everything else like
Yeah.
that. They were on the phones, they started, and that's what you gotta do. And nobody looks for, like, you don't need to run the whole campaign, couple of hours.
Exactly.
Show, you know, and
Yeah.
get to know who your people are.
Absolutely.
Who your men and women are that are representing you. It's key
Yeah.
to whatever you're doing.
That's what I'm doing right now with
Oh.
my representative.
Yeah.
I have Jim Maroney
Great
down
guy.
down my
Great guy.
district.
guy.
Yeah, is he, Jim's a
And,
nice guy.
you know,
He is.
he happened to be a friend of my wife's. They
Yeah.
went to school together. So
Yeah.
he came over and really, you know, helped us out with a lot of
Yeah.
the brain injury stuff. And
Just a decent guy.
Hey,
you know,
yeah,
just a
well,
decent
you
guy.
gotta take, you want a joke, right?
Yeah.
He has me shaking hands with John McKinney.
You have?
no, he has.
He had me, you gotta be, you know.
McKinney's an interesting guy.
He's a very interesting
guy.
man. And I mean, yeah.
I was down shaking hands with him again today because we're trying to get him on.
Yeah.
He's kind of a what they call like a linchpin to what we want to accomplish with the juvenile justice.
With the juvenile stuff
Okay.
and everything
So,
else.
Which is a huge issue.
Ah.
I'd actually like to follow up more with you, not necessarily during this show, but.
No, I know.
But I think it's, my wife and I were licensed therapeutic foster parents for a while. Had a couple of young men in our home, and love these kids. They were great kids, they really were, but we didn't have enough intervention early on in their lives.
Oh, that's the killer.
And so they
Yeah.
wound up and again, it's just a very sad, we need to do more at that, in terms of
level,
prevention and
yeah,
early intervention
exactly.
when these kids are young, so they don't go into the mental health system or they don't go into the juvenile justice
I
system.
totally agree with you
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
My life has been spent
Yeah.
trying to change that with halfway houses and everything else,
Yeah.
dealing with the juvenile, dealing in Massachusetts with Jerome Miller. Dr. Miller got rid of the juvenile correction facilities and stuff like that. We're just hunting, we're grounds to turn them into all killers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, that's, we try to explain that you got to catch them early, and God bless you, if you can get them early enough,
Yeah.
you're going to keep them out of that kind
Yeah.
of stuff and
Yeah.
everything else. But again, it's another one of the hard issues. It's one
Yeah.
of the things that are, number one, costly, costs the community a fortune. Okay?
Absolutely.
So
No question.
There's no
Yeah.
question. And both of those.
$30 to $50,000 to have somebody
Oh,
in jail.
Yeah.
yeah. Just
Yeah.
in jail.
I mean,
Yeah, you got to be.
you think about a smaller portion of that money and used in the right settings, and
Absolutely.
how much prevention that could really,
Absolutely.
It's amazing. It's
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, but it's again one of the tough issues. The other thing I did agriculturally. You're up there with.
you get
your farm, right?
100% rating from the Sierra Club, or no, it's a different.
I got 100% with the Connecticut League of Conservation
Which-
Voters,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
a bipartisan
yeah,
group.
yeah.
I was actually named a
So-
champion. I was one of, I think, 8 legislators, including, I guess, McKinney and Don Williams. A very privileged group. I have a very good relationship with them. I used to chair the Connecticut State Chapter of the Sierra Club, so I've been very involved in the environmental movement in a lot of ways. I was just elected earlier on this year as president of the People's Action for Clean Energy, which is really advocates for renewable energy. I've been longtime champion of that.
That's actually one of my major things. My dad is actually he's got a patent, and they're looking for funding to work on a project. Actually, my grandfather started off, which was to be able to create a tornado effect and be able to generate energy off of that, creating the right vortex, as well as the system for getting it started, and then be able to pull, obviously in humid climates, being able to pull the energy right out of the air, as well as to be able to pull clean water out of it too. So I know it's people talk about picking winners and losers in certain technologies. I think we have to invest in some of these things in order to be able to get them off of the ground and get them to be thriving industries.
Absolutely, no question. Because I think our future is dependent on our renewed reliance on American innovation. My father has actually, interesting guy. He still goes. He's almost 90 years old. He's still works. Has his own business and still goes into the office a few times a week. But he's into different kinds of ideas about microturbines and how we do. It's that kind of thinking and it's out there. People, how do we incubate it? How do we go ahead and
get it to grow?
Get it to grow,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly right.
And my dedication is how do we do that here in southeastern Connecticut, so we can finally get some good jobs, so that we have an industry like that or an innovation like that, and it gets off the planning stages into production stages, and let's create some manufacturing jobs here.
Which
with
is
that.
what I think you were looking to do, I know, with the Riverwalk project.
Yes, and still am. And,
Very good.
Yeah.
You're beating me to all these things. Right. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, right.
No, I'm still, I'm still very active in advocating for that. I have to say right off the bat that the first thing we have to do, and what I've realized, is we have to clean up the property.
Yeah.
But I'm very pleased that the governor, and this is the first governor I've seen, and I've worked for 5 different governors going back to El Grasso. This is the first governor I've seen that actually can find his way east of the river into this part of Connecticut.
Yeah, I know.
He's
Isn't
here.
that the truth?
He
I know,
has a
yeah.
presence here.
Presence here.
Obviously, Nancy Wyman, Lieutenant Governor, is a tremendous help, but he has really demonstrated a lot of support here, including a $5 million bonds for cleaning up the site. So we are hoping by the end of this calendar year that the big building there on Route 12, the Kettle Building, where I actually started my state career,
I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
working, there as a
Right.
psychiatric aide,
Yeah.
doing group therapy sessions with lobotomy patients. That was an interesting
Yeah.
job back in 1980. But that building will finally come down. So the core campus will be 80% cleaned up by the end of the calendar year, certainly by the beginning of spring. So we can finally attract, and that's not the only site. We in Southeastern Connecticut are not doing as well as the rest of the state, which is not doing as well as the rest of the country. We need to really kickstart a lot of things here in Southeastern Connecticut to create great jobs.
Money-wise, does the
Yeah.
federal money in the waterway system that we're doing that's coming in and everything, will that help affect the riverway too? Do you know what I'm talking about? The
ports?
Because of because of the canal and huge amount of federal money that is supposed to come our way. And I thought we were going to be like not a national forest, but the port and our riverway was supposed to be
Yeah.
that.
I guess what I've been, and this is something where Senator Maynard, where Andy's been
I know,
tremendous on.
he's sorry, I know. the man-
Tremendous, I mean, he's really led the way
He led the
together
way
with,
in this,
in
right.
terms of the Thames River
Thames
Heritage
River,
Park,
Right,
okay?
Thames River. yeah.
What I have done is, and
Yeah,
talking to Andy about this and talking to the other members of the
Right.
delegation, is that, and talking with Mayor Hinchy up in Norwich, is tie in what Andy has envisioned
Right.
here in the New London Groton area and bring it up the Thames
Bring
River.
it up the river.
To Preston Riverwalk, it ties into Mohegan Sun, all
Yes.
the way up to Norwich Harbor, and then you tie into what my work and our farm is actually on the Quinnebog River onto the Quinnebog, or the last Green Valley, all the way up to literally Sturbridge, Massachusetts.
Sturbridge,
You
right.
can develop a system of economic development, of
right.
open space conservation, of agricultural,
I'm not
support.
as crazy as people
Not at
think.
all, no, that's
And you're
exactly.
talking, and you're talking
exactly it.
jobs. You're
Yeah,
talking, and you're
absolutely.
talking jobs for marginal, lots of
Yes.
jobs for. I like to think, we're high-tech jobs. We got them for the scientists.
Yeah.
And my daughter will make $1 million a year when she loses the Coast Guard because of her education.
Right.
She ain't not worried about no job.
Right.
It's the guy who's
Yeah.
$12 an hour,
Yeah.
$18, 20, 25. Those are the kind of jobs
Yes.
that type of stuff creates.
Exactly.
And then you talk to some people and they look at you like, yeah, Father, you blow
No.
out your mind. I said,
No.
look, they do that stuff in Arizona.
Absolutely.
They do that. Are you crazy? I
Yeah.
mean, they do it. I know because I've
Well,
been
I mean,
there.
I watch.
Fabulous.
I
thing
mean,
to do.
unfortunately, I think sometimes within like the region as a whole, like just not New England, New York. I mean, it feels like they're all trying to like pick you off one company at a time, and a lot of these guys, a lot of them are so incentivized with some of the things that they do that they want to, states will give them incentives or say, no taxes for 10 years, come on over to our place.
That's right.
And it's how do we grow this instead of pulling things from other other places, or everybody kind of pulling things apart? How do we get like a bigger pie to eat from instead of like taking a piece from over here and somebody else's
I
piece?
think part of
there?
this is, and what I would like to do, and am doing, is let's challenge the private sector to step up to the plate.
Step up to the plate,
Okay?
yes.
You know, what we're seeing too much of is, you know, in the terms used, corporate greed. We're seeing companies moving offshore to avoid taxes. I think Walgreens is just about to do that. We're seeing a lot of corporate structures that are really, we saw this with the paperboard company up in Sprague. My colleague, Senator Austin, fought the good fight on that issue just the other day.
Yes.
I think what we have to demand as consumers, as taxpayers, as citizens, is that the corporate world, the private sector needs to do its thing. I agree, and I'm a Democrat, I agree, the public sector cannot do everything. We need to say, hey, listen, we have a certain role, we have a certain amount of your money that we can use to prime the pump, if you will, but there's a lot of money in the private sector that's sitting on the sidelines right now. And I think we're beginning to see some of it come into play here, but I challenge the private sector right now, and as good corporate citizens, to go ahead and make the investments in good ideas.
Good ideas.
Not in bad ideas, not to waste, but
yeah, exactly right. I mean, you're talking proven things that can happen, and wonderful things that help the environment and all that stuff, develop the jobs that they're talking about. I mean, I don't...
Well, that's why I kind of like, I mean, crowdsourcing, I think, you know, really gives people an opportunity to pick things that they would believe in. And I think, you know, that's going to be a big thing that's really going to help economically, you know, with getting money to good ideas. I mean, because if you don't believe in something...
Right, I got a good idea now, because we talk and we ran through this show, but I got a couple of minutes, Tim. I need you to talk to my audience.
Yes, fine.
Okay, and tell them, you know, you're running for office.
I'm running for office again, yes, I am. And this is after I had sworn off politics several years ago. And it just, this particular seat opened up, and I got convinced to go ahead and run for this particular seat. But I have found this to be one of the more fascinating experiences I ever had. I think I can make a difference. I care about the issues. I care about providing some leadership in terms of, actually, the leadership comes from listening to people and where they're coming from. I'm finding I learn more, and I've learned more in the last couple of years than I have, as I told you gentlemen out there. You know, I went to 3 different colleges, an undergraduate, and got a master's. In 2 years up in the legislature, I've learned an awful lot, but it's because of people like you, people that have taken the time to sit down with me and inform me about the issues. The ABI thing being a perfect example of that. Even though I was exposed to it, even as a social worker, I worked with the issue, to know the technical challenges and the logistical challenges about the whole change in the waiver structure really meant to your families. You know, that was a critical thing, and I think you did an excellent job on that. I care about the issues. We talked about the environment. I'm a clean energy guy. I believe in election reform. I think we have to do something with our tax base issue too, in terms of property tax reform. I've worked, Speaker Sharkey, I'm very honored to have been appointed to chair the Regional Entities Work Group. We've done some good work on that in terms of decentralizing a lot of things from Hartford and getting some funding decisions back down to the regions and municipalities. I think that those are key. So.
And I want, God bless you, I got a second, very good to have
Thank
you with
so
us
much.
again, Tim.
I
And I'm
appreciate
going to
it,
have
Father
you back.
Russ. Absolutely.
Dominic, thank you very much.
Thank you,
And
Paul.
look at all you folks out there, my friends and everything, who are in Tim's district, 42.
42.
42.
Preston, Ledyard, Montville.
Got to get out and vote for
There we
Tim.
go.
Got to put him back in office. We need him there. Please, vote for Tim Bowles. Please, okay? Get out there. You people in District 42.
Can I steal
Love
one
you all.
last minute?
Go ahead, you got a second.
If
She's
you're planning to vote in the primary and you're unaffiliated, you can join
You can.
whatever party
How do
up
you
to
want?
last
Up to
24
the last
hours.
20 right.
So if you want to go vote for Bill Sadai and you're an independent, you can sign up to be Democrat, and you can go vote in that primary.
That's right, you can do the same for Tim.
Yes.
Right? You gotta find.
No
primary, no.
November 4th.
November 4th.
Come out and vote.
No, yeah, November 4th for Tim. Yeah, Bill needs you, Bill needs you the 12th.
The
right?
12th,
The 12th, okay.
12th.
God bless you. We're on our way out, and thank you, and I'll see you next week with,
Well, we're hoping
well,
to have
we're
a couple,
hoping Kathy, right?
we're hoping to
I
have
thought
Kathy
you were gonna
Elston.
run that tape that you forwarded the other night.
Oh,
No?
No,
I don't care.
okay, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Figure it out before next week, let me know.
We'll let Mary know what we're gonna do. We'll surprise you all. Good night.